Good afternoon, dear students. Thank you for attending this lecture, which hopefully would be rich with references and examination of themes, of characters, of ideas suggested by George Orwell, the writer of this wonderful novella. Before beginning or engaging in the discussion of the themes in this lecture, I would like to remind you of the previous lecture, in which a general introduction to the writer as a political activist, to George Orwell as a political activist, as a short story writer, as a novelist, correspondent, journalist also. This general introduction was given to you. I would like again to recommend reading thoroughly about the age in which George Orwell lived, also about the international scene, about the political circumstances that surrounded his writing, the social also events that surrounded or did affect his writing. I would like you to read about his life, of course his biography, and also about the Europe, and especially in the first half of the 20th century. You know that Animal Farm was written in 1945, and this date is extremely important, as it pointed at the end of the Second International War, with all its calamities, its tragedies, and its devastating impact on Europe, on millions of people all around the world. Here in front of you we have George Orwell, and this is the picture of Napoleon, the big most important character, and it is مزرعة الحيوان, translated by Ahmed Ibrahim Ismail. However, the points I would like to talk about or cover in this lecture are various and many. The first one, we talk about the political, social, and economic changes that take place in Animal Farm from chapter 5 onwards, especially after the dismissal of or exile of Snowball and the usurpation of the rule by Napoleon. What happens to animalism? What happens to the animals themselves? In what way Napoleon deals with the human being, deals with the animals themselves. All these points will be discussed, let's say, in PowerPoint. I'm going to present to you and discuss with you. Another point, of course, of importance will be propaganda and cult of personality. However, before discussing these points, I would like to share with you some information about the novella itself, Animal Farm. So, what is Animal Farm? First of all, you have to know that there is a subtitle to Animal Farm, which is a fairy story. Animal Farm is allegorical and dystopian novel. فهي من جنس الديستوبيا، الرواية الكئيبة المتشائمة. By George Orwell, published in England on the 17th of August 1945. 1945 is very important date, let's say politically speaking, socially speaking, economically, and also from the literary point of view. According to Orwell, the book reflects events leading up to the Russian Revolution of 1917. So the novel deals with a specific event, in the history of mankind in the political scene, which is the revolution of 1917 that take place and in Soviet Union, and then on into the Stalin era in the Soviet Union. Orwell, of course, he is a democratic socialist, was a critic of Joseph Stalin and hostile to Moscow-directed Stalinism. Stalin, he's the ruler of Soviet Union or president, and let's say ISM, this three letters attached, and it means in Arabic ear, for example, we say Stalin and Stalinism, Staliniya, as we say, Staliniya. Serialism, السريالية, and so on. So الإي بالأخيرة it means ISM. An attitude that was critically shaped by his experiences during the Spanish Civil War. If you remember, let's say Ernst Hemingway also participated in the Spanish Civil War, and both of them, the writings of both Ernst Hemingway and George Orwell, both of them were heavily affected by the political events and by this war. The Soviet Union, of course, George Orwell believed, had become a brutal dictatorship built upon a cult of personality. Cult of personality is very important for you to understand. What do you mean by cult of personality? Who is the representative of cult of personality in Animal Farm? Of course, the immediate answer and the clearest answer is Napoleon. And enforced a cult of personality and enforced by a reign of terror, حكم أو عهد الرعب. In his essay Why I Write, 1946, he wrote that Animal Farm was the first book in which he had tried with full consciousness of what he was doing to fuse political purpose and artistic purpose into one whole. This is very important because it tells us that George Orwell's writings are politically oriented, politically directed, that he is not writing for writing's sake. It is not art for art's sake, but his writings can be considered, and they are, commentaries on the political events, political scenes in which George Orwell are giving vent to his opinions concerning certain issues and certain matters that had been taking place around him. If you want a plot summary of this novella, they are available in the internet, and you can consult. There are many electronic sites that and YouTubes that do provide you with a full summary of the events, a full summary of the plot in Animal Farm. I would like, my dear student, to give you an idea about the major and minor characters, and I'm going to point out to you on which to focus in the monthly exam and in the final exam. Of course, it is the consideration of the pigs and examination of their characters, I believe, is indispensable for you. It is very important for you to know who are the pigs, what they are doing, what characters, let's say, what kind of characters are they, what is their relationship to other animals, why, for example, they are given power, why they are given the advantage of ruling, of enjoying all the privileges in the Animal Farm. So as for the pigs, you have to consider and you have to understand who is Old Major. Okay, who is Old Major? Old Major, let's say, from the narrative point of view, he's a minor character because he's allowed very limited space, very limited time. He appears only in the first, let's say, in the first chapter, but his spirit but his spirit presided over the animal farm till the end of the novella. Also, you have to know who is Napoleon. Napoleon is very important as he dominates animals' life and dominates the animal farm as a country or as a republic, especially from chapter 6 onwards till the end, when he fully, let's say, he turns into a human being, or he imitates Mr. Jones at the end of the novella in chapter 10. Whom else we have? Besides Old Major, besides Napoleon, also we have Snowball. Snowball is very important. He is what we call the antagonist of Napoleon. There is a kind of hostility or enmity between the two. Unfortunately, the conflict between them is settled to the advantage of Napoleon when he, let's say, succeeded in exiling, in dismissing, and in punishing Snowball, turning him into a criminal, turning him into a scapegoat. Whom else we have besides Snowball? Sequealer. Sequealer is again very, very important to know, because he's the minister of propaganda, because he was the deputy of Napoleon. He was the spokesman of Napoleon. He's doing everything on behalf of Napoleon. One of his let's say, one of his duties is to persuade all the time the animals and to convince them of the wisdom of Napoleon, of the usefulness or utility or the importance of blindly obeying Napoleon. So Sequealer again is very important. And besides Old Major, Napoleon, Snowball, and Sequealer, we have Minimus. Minimus is what we call the kind of poet. He's writing the second and third, or he wrote the second and third national anthems of Animal Farm, let's say, after the singing of Beast of England is banned. One of the changes we are going to comment on is the banning, حظر, of the singing of Beast of England, Beast of Ireland, if you remember the song of Old Major. Instead of this song, we have new songs that glorify, aggrandize, let's say, and praise Napoleon, describing him as the father of animals, as a protector of children, as a provider of water, provider of everything, as he's presented as a very nice pig, as a very kind pig, and so on. So Minimus again is important, as he is somehow the eulogist poet, الشاعر المداح. We have also piglets, but these piglets hinted to be the children of Napoleon, but they are very secondary characters. That is why we skip them somehow. As for the humans, dear student, I want you to carefully read Mr. Jones. Examine his character. Who is Mr. Jones? Why the animals revolt against him? What happens to him later on? Besides Mr. Jones, who is Mr. Frederick? Who is Mr. Whymper? Who is Mr. Pillington, if you remember? All these human beings are essential because, roughly speaking, Animal Farm is divided into, let's say, two parties. The first party is the human beings, essentially represented by Mr. Jones. The second party is the animals. Animals essentially again exemplified by Napoleon and the other pigs. Besides the pigs and the humans, I would like you to know who is Boxer. Boxer is very, very important. Boxer, this loyal, kind, dedicated, respectable cart horse. Why he is described as naive? What he's doing? What does he represent? Does he represent, for example, high-class people, middle-class people, or low-class people? What is his relationship to proletarian class? All these points about Buxa you have to understand, you have to comprehend, let's say, because he's an essential character. He's the carrier and he conveys in his own actions, let's say, a certain theme. This theme will be commented, let's say, on by us and will be examined by us, illustrated later on. Besides, we have another horse besides Buxa, who is Clover. Clover, again, she's a female horse, and I would like you again to examine her character, what she's doing. Why she's considered the matriarch of sorts for the other horses. A matriarch means that she is just like a mother for other horses. Who is Molly? Who is Molly? Again, I would like you, what kind of mare she is, okay? Why she escapes to another farm? Why she doesn't stay in the animal farm? Is her decision to leave the animal farm good or bad for her? Now, besides, we have Benjamin. Benjamin again. You have to understand who is Benjamin. Why he, as a donkey, why he's considered the wisest. Why he, apart from other animals, he is the only one who seems to fully understand what's going on. He's not cheated. And it seems that Sequeler finds difficulty in persuading him of the wisdom of Napoleon's decisions and actions. So you have to know who is Benjamin, one of the oldest animals. He has the worst temper, but he's one of the wisest animals on the farm. And he's one of the few who can read in a very proper way. This is very important, reading and writing, as very few animals were capable of reading and writing. One of them is Benjamin. Who are the other characters? We have, for example, the puppies. If you remember, the 9 puppies who become security forces and who attack, if you remember, Snowball during one of the Sunday meetings. You have to know who are those puppies, why they are taken by force by Napoleon, in what way Napoleon trains them, on what he educates them, for what purposes he, let's say, he secludes them, puts them in a faraway place, let's say, and controls their upbringing. Also, we have Moses. What kind of character Moses is? What does he represent, for example? What role he plays in Mr. Jones's time and in the time of the animal farm, when the animal farm becomes dominated by the pigs, by the animals. Okay. Besides Moses, dear student, I want you to read about the sheep. The sheep, because they are related to a very important theme, which is the herd mentality or the mob behavior or the group mind. These concepts are extremely important as they, let's say, they suggest or they deal with a very commonplace and very familiar political act performed by people when they blindly follow or obey a party or a leader and so on, without questioning the idea, without thinking. They follow him, they follow the party. The sheep here, for example, are a clear exemplar of this group mind, of this mob behavior. So what they are doing in Animal Farm. I would like you to focus and to read. Also, we have the cat, the cows, the hens, for example. Each one of them are representative of a certain group or a certain idea. I would like you to focus, but mainly I want you to examine the pigs, all of them, Boxa and Clover also, Molly, of course, very important, the puppies also, and Moses, and the sheep. These characters are very essential, very important to understand and to, let's say, to read about and to examine. Now we move to another point, dear student, and I would like to discuss with you very important subject or topic, which is the transformation, the movement from a semi-democratic political system to a completely bleak totalitarian system. There is a plot against democracy that takes place in the Animal Farm, and it takes the form of a number of steps. The first point here, dear student, I'm going to send to you this PowerPoint. I'm going to send it to you in the Google Classroom. However, I want to read these points one by one and explain them to you as they are very essential, very important for you to know them. In fact, these points are a summary of what happens in the Animal Farm from the chapter 5 till chapter 10. We have the gradual deterioration, التدهور, and destruction of everything that animalism stands for. If you remember the 7 principles or commandments of animalism, they stand for liberty, for freedom, for equality, for egalitarian system, for brotherhood, for example. However, all these beautiful meanings were destroyed, were shattered, and were crushed by Napoleon as he gradually uncovers his black, let's say, actions, and let's say takes or performs a few acts that do damage the spirit of animalism and do badly affect the lives of animals in the Animal Farm. The first step, which is very important, and it's followed by a number of steps, all of them were destructive, were devastating for the animals. The first step is the expulsion of Snowball by the furious-looking dogs during one of the Sunday meetings, in which the 9, if you remember, puppies, sturdy puppies or furious-looking dogs attack Snowball and, let's say, chase him out of the Animal Farm. And this day, the animals were greatly terrified, horrified by what they have been seeing and in front of their eyes. One of the pigs was nearly killed, but by miracle he was saved. So the first step in the gradual destruction of animalism and its principles is the expulsion of Snowball by the furious looking dogs. The second, the student step, is the establishment of special security forces. They are called Napoleon thugs, dirty dozens, personal guards. The second, cancellation of Sunday meetings and the vote. Establishment of a special committee of pigs presided by Napoleon. Of course, these points are summary of chapter 5. so you can rely on them in understanding what was going on. Also, dear student, we have keeping the formalities, saluting the flag, the beast of England, and receive orders delivered by a secular rule of oligarchy, as we say, the rule of the few, which means that only few people are ruling the country, not all of them, and ruling animal farm, not all the animals. It means that there is no democracy, there is no freedom of speech. Also, suppression and silencing of the dissent voices like the 4 pigs and the starvation of the 9 hens. This is called political purges, what we call the تطهير السياسي. It means to kill and to exterminate, استئصال, and to destroy all of your enemies, okay, all those against you. Creating scapegoats and external enemies to shift the responsibility of everything wrong in the animal farm to them. Prevalence of conspiracy theory. Okay, another point, dear student, heavy reliance on propaganda. Propaganda, in another lecture, we are going to define what is propaganda, what does it mean, what are the practices in propaganda, how many types of propaganda, what are the results of each type, okay, outcome of each type, and so on. Using propaganda to defame the enemies, particularly Snowball, who is presented as a traitor, wicked, thief, dangerous, and as Mr. Jones's agent who plot to attack and destroy the animal farm. Again, I would like to emphasize that these points are and can be considered a summary of Chapter 5, Chapter 6. What else? Violation of the spirit of animalism. Holding show trials بمعنى محاكمات صورية غير حقيقية, in which animals voluntarily confess their alleged crimes and offenses, like the confession of the hens, geese, sheep, and cows. Public execution of animals, which result in a pile of corpses and the prevalence of the smell of blood, which means that violence was widely practiced by the pigs, by the authorities against the animals. Okay, dear student, this leads to the establishment of the totalitarian system. What is totalitarian system? Now, what do you mean by it? What are the features of the totalitarian system? Because of the lack of time, I, let's say, prefer to postpone dealing with the totalitarianism and with the totalitarian system to the next lecture, dear student, as it is a very important topic and it needs a thorough examination and, let's say, commentary. That is why I postpone it. So please read about what do you mean by totalitarian system, who is the animal, who is the representative of this system in animal farm, of course. The obvious answer, the clear answer is Napoleon. So I would like you to read about this system, what do you mean by it, to give you, let's say, a quick idea about it. Totalitarianism is a political system in which the state holds total authority over the society and seeks to control all aspects of public and private life wherever possible. It is characterized by, it means simply a state controlled, a president controlled, let's say, a country. It means a country in which all aspects of life, whether political, social, economic, for example, everything is controlled by the president, is controlled by his family, controlled by his party, and so on. The president and his family and his tribe, clan, and the party, in fact, have all the privileges, almost leaving nothing for the people or for the animals. So what are the characteristics? Characteristics of totalitarianism. First of all, having dictatorship, employing the one-party ruling party, rule through fear and terror. This is very important. Censorship of media and strict surveillance system. نظام مراقبة شديد. Propaganda and media, government speeches and through education. Criticism of the state is prohibited. You are not allowed to criticize. You are not allowed to disagree. You are not allowed to state your opinion. Secret police forces. Targeting of specific religious or political population. Development of a nationalist party, so the state is highly centralized. يعني مركزية شديدة للغاية. Autocratic, حكم فرد واحد. Authoritarian, and the matrix of domination is from top to down. From top to down. Okay. Examples of this. Now, examples of this, all these, dear students, are examples. For example, we have Hitler. We have Stalin. We have the president of North Korea, for example. Cuba, for example. Many other countries. Mussolini, for example. All those are examples of, let's say, totalitarian dictatorship, very oppressive political regimes. Here we have again Stalin, and here we have Hitler. What is a personality cult? Of course, Hitler, Stalin, many other president of North Korea are representative and examples of the cult of personality. So what do you mean by cult of a personality? A cult of personality arises when an individual uses mass media propaganda or other methods to create an idealized, heroic, and at times worshipful image, often through unquestioning flattery and praise. It is similar to divinization, التأليه, as we say, except that it is established by mass media and propaganda, usually by the state, especially in totalitarian states. Napoleon is a good example, who translates in his actions in Animal Farm the obsession with personality cult. He establishes a personal lifestyle to which all or everything in the Animal Farm must contribute. Dear student, I stop here. Next time there are other points I would like to discuss and share with you. Let's say we might just let me PowerPoint. I might discuss with you propaganda. What do you mean by propaganda? Also the Battle of Cowshed, also the power of language, and I might share with you or watch with you some scenes in Animal Farm. Thank you very much. Hopefully meeting you in the next lecture next week. Thank you very much.